Hi, my name is Bryce, and I am the founder, owner, and operator of a new startup business here in Beaufort, South Carolina. We are doing floors, countertops, and resin projects in this area. We're also servicing Port Royal out to Savannah and Hilton Head and Bluffton. We're doing Ladies Island. We're doing all the way out to Acadia and Yemassee. If you're outside of those areas, inside of those areas, just give us a call. We'll let you know if we service your area, and we can see what we can do for you. I've got a lot of information about the floor systems, the countertops, and the actual art resin projects that we do listed on our website. You can find that in our bio and most of our social medias. But today I wanted to talk about some of the equipment that we're going to be using on site. Now, if you book a job with us, you come into contact with Paladin Epoxy, if you see some of our advertisement, it's going to be me personally. You will be talking with me. You'll be working with me the whole way through. I'm going to be the one coming out there and doing the site survey. I'm going to be doing the job prep and application of the floor or countertop or whatever it is you choose to go with. You're going to see me the whole time. So let's get to know each other. The equipment that I'm going to be using, we've got our Concrete Genie that we've got from XPS Express. Is an epoxy company, very large. This is a good startup piece of equipment. It has two heads rotating clockwise and counterclockwise that magnetically accept many different grits of diamonds to grind your floor down to the proper surface profile so that we can actually achieve that proper surface for mechanical bond for the chemicals to the concrete. This piece of equipment is very good. It does the job very well, and it gets a lot of things off of the ground. But what it does do is it kicks up a lot of dust. One of the most important things in this industry that often goes overlooked is dust control. This job, specifically the floors that we're working on, kick up a lot of dust, especially by this machine right here. You're going to have a lot of dust floating in the air. You're going to have it sticking to surfaces, going into attic spaces, such as this garage specifically has a very open attic space. A lot of that dust will get up in there and it'll settle down on the floor. What that will do is when the floor is still wet after the product has been applied to the floor, air starts moving throughout that space and that dust gets kicked right back up and it ends up back on that floor, giving you imperfections, causing these kind of bubbling or dips or weird discolorations in the floor that just causes more work and more imperfections as the job goes on. What we do to control dust in this industry, and me specifically, is a device like this. It is very simple. It's just a nice little rubber shield that goes around the bottom of your floor grinder, and it keeps a lot of that dust in-house. Another thing that we use in conjunction with that is a good high-quality vacuum. I see a lot of companies out there using shop vacs, using regular in-home vacuums, just sweeping, just leaf blowing dust and concrete residue out of the garage space that they're working in, and that is not good. If you do not have the proper device to keep all of that dust in-house, you're going to have problems down the road, serious health risks, imperfections in your floor, and many other things. With a vacuum like this is the Dust Control Trom 400. It is a dual motor HEPA filter vacuum. What that means is you've got two motors pushing and pulling the air through this thing, giving it a good high quality suction. And you have a HEPA filter in here that is doing its job collecting all of that dust and keeping it in-house. Now, with things like shop vacs and other vacuums, they're not really rated to pull in that high volume of really fine concrete dust. When the filter gets overloaded, it can no longer filter out that dust and it ends up spitting it right back into the atmosphere. With a vacuum like this, you have this little switch right here, and you flip that about every 5 to 10 minutes while you're grinding the floor. And what it's going to do is it's going to cut suction, and it's going to kind of push and pull air through this filter, kicking all of that dust off of it, and then returning it right here into the receptacle. What that allows is the HEPA filter inside of the vacuum to actually get cleaned off so that it can receive more dust as the job goes on. It's a very efficient piece of equipment and it does the job really well. This vacuum specifically has a couple different functions. You can hook it directly up to the handheld floor vacuuming device right here, or you can take this vacuum and you can plug it straight into your floor grinder and it will actually apply suction to the bottom of the floor grinder so that while you have that little hood around it, it is actually taking that dust straight in at the point of friction and putting it into the filter and into the receptacle right here. We've talked about dust control. Now I want to hit on another piece of equipment that you're going to see us using is this floor buffer, floor sander, swing machine. A lot of the flooring companies and industries out there, tile, wood flooring, they all use them. This is not actually used for grinding down the floor. This is more for reaching a proper sanding and buffing your floor after we have applied the first coating or the second coating or the decorative coat, depends. Or if you're using a flake system, we will use this piece of equipment to sand down those flakes once they have stuck to the base layer so that you don't get this very sharp, very bumpy surface, and it kind of gives a more consistent texture across the surface of your floor. All this piece of equipment requires is a pad and a circular piece of sandpaper between the face of it and the floor, and it will buff sand down that surface that you're working on and give it more texture. It's more of a smaller scale version of what this is doing. It gives it a mechanical bond, something for that liquid epoxy or polyaspartic that you're applying to the floor to grab onto, because if you've seen it before, it's a very glass-like texture. It's a very smooth surface, and if you have gone outside of the chemical bonding window of that material, you need to get a mechanical bond. So this is going to help us do that. All of these pieces of equipment are high quality and they're very efficient at producing clean work. These are not pieces of equipment that you want to skip over or cut corners on, like I see a lot in this industry. I'll see a lot of people grind your whole floor down with a hand grinder, or they'll use a shop vac or something of that nature. A hand grinder is a good piece of equipment. It's a necessary piece of equipment. However, for the main body of the floor, you're going to want to use a push grinder. For a hand grinder, you're looking at the edges or the corners or steps or hard to reach areas. And I'll put it like this. If you're going to mow your lawn, I would suggest mowing your lawn with a lawnmower and doing the edge with a weed whacker. Think of your hand grinder as your weed whacker and your floor grinder as your lawnmower. I wouldn't do my whole yard with a weed whacker, and I wouldn't skip over the edges just because my lawnmower doesn't reach it.